So thank you so much, Janis, for doing this interview. I'm so honored to have you as a guest.
Hello.
I might remind our listeners that we are at the University Church in Vilnius, St. John's Church, on the organ balcony next to the organ, the greatest organ in Lithuania, the largest pipe organ in Lithuania. And we are meeting here with Janis Kalnins, organ builder from Latvia, not by accident, because exactly 15 years ago, remember Janis, I met you at the same spot where Janis was basically tuning and regulating this beautiful, magnificent organ. Do you remember these days?
Oh yes, yes, it was. This day was very messy, I must say.
And you were responsible for what? For tuning, right? For
yes, for my responsibility was tuning and voicing generally, but since the organ technical part was not completed, then we should make a lot of things in mechanical parts. Installation of pipes, installation of mechanics, action, regulating of wind system, and lot of things. And at that time, in year 2000, I did another very important job. I was organizing ISO Congress.
Yes.
Yes, International Society of Organ Builders, over 100 organ builders. In August 2000, came to Baltic States. We made this trip from Vilnius to Tallinn, looking on different organs, and this organ should be ready until this Congress. So, yeah.
And Congress started in July, I believe, right?
End of July or August, I don't remember.
Yeah, and your voicing techniques and tuning were so quick. You were like tuning these 64 stops like in 3 weeks or so?
No.
Or 3 months?
No. 3 months just tuning, but 2 months more technical work. So yeah, it was very challenging work, and of course I was very pleased that my colleague and teacher, I never forget to say it, because Rimantas Gučas was one of my first teachers in organ building, and he invited me to complete this job, and so we did together with Vilniaus Vargonų dirbtuvė. Yeah, but it was hard work.
Yes, and a lot of time passed after that, 15 years, right? And Janis, you were basically not the beginner organ builder at that time, no, but you were quite experienced, right? Can you remember the days when you first fell in love with the organ?
Oh yes, definitely. I was a young boy, I think. I was 8 years old when I was first time in Riga Cathedral to listen to the organ music. And I remember very clearly it was French organist Jean-Jacques Grunewald. Yeah, and it was very, very impressive concert, and that was the point when my love to this instrument was turned on.
Yeah, usually these great organists inspire us to take up either organ playing or, as in your case, probably organ building, or no?
Yes, but this is very special because all my family are musicians. Mm-hmm. My mother was pianist, and my father was violinist and violin teacher. I myself learned to play trumpet, and I was rather successful, and it was a big question. Shall I continue and become a professional trumpet player or not? And my father then told me such a thing as a musician, that my son, you must know, if you want to be a musician, you must be the best, the first. If you are the second, you will earn very bad money. And he told me that, son, you are very good in physics, mathematics, you can do anything what you want, and keep trumpet playing as a hobby. We have in Latvia plenty of wind bands, marching bands, brass bands. You can play all the time, but to find another job. And so I decided not to play trumpet as a professional. Yes, and then when I was 16 years old, I knew very clearly I want to be an organ builder. You know, music, it's kind of disease, and once you are ill, then it's for the entire life. And yeah, I am always saying that music is wonderful art. It is combination of three arts, actually. It's musician itself who is playing. It's music, which was written, and it's music instrument. Without music instrument, music doesn't exist.
True.
So, I'm still part in music.
It's so great that our destiny or higher forces or angels or muses, right, led us to this great king of instruments, right, as we say, and it's like an addiction in a way, a good addiction, right, that we continue to be inspired with this instrument and never ever forget it, right?
Yes, organ is something very special, because don't forget that when I was 8 years old, it was in 1972. And when I was 16 years old, it was 1980. It was Soviet Union. When to be an organ builder, it sounded like something very crazy, because you know the situation of churches and organs in Soviet Union. It was not at all supported by government and cultural ideology of communism. And so, I was talking with Danish from Denmark, organist and organ expert Ole Olesen, and he told me one very interesting idea. I asked him one question: why the organ has an evacuant? It's absolutely useless. Stop, you simply open the valve, and when you finish to play, you just let wind out of bellows. And it's really something useless, because I never saw organ where wind stays without additional pumping more than a few minutes. Leather itself, and there are enough other holes, natural. It's not the organ is in bad quality or in bad condition. It is simply so. It's not hermetic system. And he then told me that in Renaissance time, the wind somehow was considered to be similar with Holy Ghost, because the wind is spirit of organ. Wind makes organ to the life. And it is bad behavior to leave the wind without work. It's like you wasting time, like you wasting this Holy Ghost. It's something religious. So, and maybe this is what makes organ a really divine instrument of this way of making sound. It's not a hammer. It's wind.
Yeah, it's really a wind instrument, right?
Yes, yes.
Wind instrument with keys.
Yeah, and I think for most people, organ still has some association with the church,
True.
with religion. Of course, today we have a lot of organs in concert halls, but what we play there, mostly it's music which is written for churches.
Yeah, true. This connection with organ and church is so important, right? In your country, in Latvia, especially
Yes.
the Lutheran country. Can you remember the approximate number of organs in Latvia?
Yes, we didn't count exactly, but we think about 300 to 350 organs.
And how many of them are historical?
Rather much, actually all of them, except those organs which are brought to Latvia after 1991, from England, from Sweden, some second-hand organs, and it's maybe not more than 30, 40 organs. But the rest of them are already historic because they are built before 1940. Mm-hmm. So soon, almost every organ in Latvia will be 100 years old. Mm-hmm. But the most valuable part of Latvian organs are organs from 19th century. We have really some treasures, as everyone knows. Walker organ in Riga Cathedral, the largest tracker organ in the world in Liepāja Trinity Church, which was completed by Barnum Greenberg in 1885 with 131 stops. It's larger than the Riga Cathedral. Then we have a lot of beautiful organs from 19th century built by local organ builders. First of all, I want to mention Karl Hermann and his son Karl Alexander Hermann, August Martin, later Friedrich Weissenborn, the first professional Latvian organ builder Martin Kreslins. And those are organs which in 1960s and 70s were considered as unvaluable, as decadent, as useless organs which are not useful for concert music and etc. But those 50 years of Soviet occupation somehow preserved them. Yeah. It was status quo. Yes. Nothing changes. Yeah. And we didn't have organ movement in Latvia. No rebuildings, only, of course, unfortunately, a lot of organs were destroyed after Second World War in 50s, 60s, including wonderful Baroque organ in Lestene, Raneus organ. So, and then we have around 20 Baroque organs, and number one, of course, is organ in Ugale. Mm-hmm. Baroque organ in Ugale, built in 1700 with 28 stops.
So I was going to get to Ugale right away because, of course, Janis' workshop is in Ugale, right? And this beautiful organ from 1701, I'm sorry, 100 years later, but still very, very old organ, right? Yeah. The oldest organ in the Baltic States, probably. Eastern Shore, at least.
Yes and no, because 5 or 6 years ago, the organ, small, positive, let's say, was reconstructed in Lithuania, mm-hmm. which was founded in Gintališkės.
Yes.
And now it's organ in Kretinga chapel, and that organ is probably second half of 17th century.
A little earlier. Mm-hmm.
A little earlier, but it is still reconstruction and restoration, mm-hmm. not many. Almost all pipes are new, but Ugale, it's 90% of original pipes.
Yes, and it has original eagle with movable wings, right? Also and beautiful ornaments and angels, probably.
Yeah.
And I think this particular instrument was so important to your development as an organ builder, right? because you definitely set up a workshop there and probably initiated the restoration of this organ as well.
Yes, yes. The initiation for restoration of this organ was done already in 1986. And at that time, as a young, passionate and not very experienced at all organ builder, we put that organ in Ugale to play in condition, and I was astonished of sound, because something like that I never heard, especially in Latvia. Yeah, and of course, as you told, this particular instrument is very, very important for me, for our workshop. As our friend Joran Grant told, that if you have lack of inspiration for organ building, just go to Ugale church and play on that organ some hours, and then you have it again. Because that is sound which you never get boring, and every Sunday when I'm hearing that organ, I'm coming to surprise. What a beautiful sound.
And of course, our listeners from 89 countries should know that Janis is a Lutheran priest, and Ugale's church is his parish. And not only he builds and restores and maintains this organ, right? He also celebrates the services, church services, in the Mass, right? And so, how do you deal with the basically liturgical side of your responsibilities and also organ building?
It's not so complicated because the congregation is very small. It's only 120 members, and another church were also with wonderful romantic organ from 1875 in Zlakas nearby. It's congregation with 30 people. So we have services in Ugale every Sunday and in Zlakas twice a month. So it's not a big deal either. I am going to the church as every normal Christian does, and I'm sitting and listening to the sermon and taking part in liturgy as a in parish member, or I am a leader, so to say. So for me, it is not a big difference, and somehow it happens in my life, and so the church work is mainly on Sundays, but it's not well paid. Actually, it's not paid. So I must to have something to live for.
Yes.
And so I have 7 daughters, and yeah, it's rather demanding.
Of course. So you have a big farm, right? And also
family
organ building, basically workshop. And do you play sometimes the organ itself?
Yeah, I play a bit, but now really seldom. When in 80s, when I just started to go to the church, then from 1983, I was also church organist. I played in Jelgava in our congregation, and at that time I played rather much and I practicing, but now I have no time for practice actually. And so I'm playing only, I'm joking, I'm playing when nobody hears it.
Of course, will do. Yes. And Janis, do you remember the time with this Ugale organ, the first meeting? What exactly inspired you when you looked at these angels and ducks, right, and eagles, and or other parts of the organ? What exactly moved you so that you later again and again returned to this organ?
Have you ever been in Ugale?
No, but I can imagine.
That's why you are asking this question. If you would come to Ugala, you wouldn't ask it. It's impossible to go to that church and not to fall in love.
Of course.
To it.
So describe to people who are...
No, it's how you can describe it. Of course, listeners can write in Google Ugala church, Ugala organ, and find a lot of pictures of church and organ and maybe some soundtracks. But yes, I knew it's my place.
Mm-hmm. It's your calling, right?
Yes, it's my place. And funny thing, when I moved to live to Ugala in 1991, I finally discovered that I have a lot of relatives there, rather far away, but still. So, yes. But I told you that first sound which I heard, it was so impressive, so beautiful, so majestic and powerful. Yes, 28 stops. We are sitting in St. John's University Church where we have organ just a little more than twice as big as in Ugala. But the church in Ugala is, I don't know, maybe just 10% of this church. Oh. Then can you imagine the sound of it? And for that time, 1700, small countryside church with 300 seats. 300 seats. To have organ with 28 stops. In Riga Cathedral at that time was organ with 42 stops. So
not
these
too
numbers,
much larger.
Yes, not too much larger. So, but it's still now, and of course all this appearance of organ, not painted wood. It's not intentionally. It's just historically different historic circumstances where the reason why organ is left unpainted. But we can study carving technique, which normally is covered until thick layers of paints and gold, but there is nothing. We see the diameter of chisels. We can follow all the traces of wood carver. So yeah, it's fantastic.
And it has what, 2 manuals, right?
Yes.
And it has this amazing ancient feature, short bottom octave, right? Describe our listeners what it is.
Probably it's not short octave in classical meaning of that, which starts from F, what we see, and then goes to only diatonic. In Ugala, only C sharp and D sharp keys are missing.
So 2 sharp keys.
Yes, it's normal keyboard with notes in normal order, but only in bass, C sharp and D sharp are missing.
Wonderful.
Who needs them at that tuning?
Yes. And what kind of tuning do you have?
Yeah, well, surprisingly, when we did restoration in 2005, when we completed, then we did a lot of research on facade pipes. They were preserved almost untouched because, of course, organ was retuned to equal temperament, but only with cutting slots. But all those cutouts were untouched. So we were able actually to put to original temperament. And it was very clearly that organ never was mean tone. Maybe for someone it is a surprise for that organ, but so it is. Organ was never mean tone, and a second surprise is that we could find out that it was 5th temperament, not a 3rd temperament. It kind of Valotti, so with 6 pure 5ths and 6 temperament, temperate, but not in symmetric order, but mixed up. So finally, the impression, it is a bit of mean tone, temperament impression, the same keys which are in mean tone are pure, but in our case not so pure. And the same keys which in mean tone are not useful, in Ugale they are still useful.
Great. So do you think that Cornelius Ranius, the master organ builder of this Ugale organ, built other organs with such a similar temperament elsewhere?
We don't know, because this is only one organ which is preserved from this organ builder, unfortunately.
So it might be that Cornelius Ranius basically just improvised the tuning, could be the temperament system, right, just on the spot?
Yeah, who knows?
Right?
Who knows? But the history of organ is rather interesting, because the original concept, it is 2 manuals without pedal. And Cornelius Ranius himself added pedal 1 year later, when organ was completed. And pedal is located behind the main case of the whole organ, on additional case, and on chromatic windchest. Chromatic chest.
Oh, that's unusual for that time.
Yeah, yes, because it is just addition. So we might think that when organ was ready, the local landlord appointed a rather good, skilled, educated organist who came, oh, what I can play on the organ without pedal, please add. And that is also an explanation for the extreme wide pedal, because the pedal is just fitted in existing place. And for Baroque architecture, of course, the architecture is much more important than functionality. And it was empty hole, and it was filled. So we have extreme wide pedal with distance between Lavalier C and treble E1. The compass goes up to E1, and distance we have 1 meter 44 centimeters.
That's rather wide.
Yes. On standard pedal keyboards from C to F, we have 1 meter and 22 centimeters. So 20 centimeters more. I can say so to listeners that when you at normal standard organ modern, you have already C. In Ugale, we have in base only E.
That's amazing. Probably organists who play there have to really take their time and adjust to the pedal board, to the pedal technique, right, to hit the right notes.
Yes, but I noticed that for professional organists it doesn't take a long time, and they discover very soon that on these extreme wide pedals, this passage which are typical for North German music, Buxtehude, Lübeck, Bruns, they work just perfectly. It's much easier to play as a modern pedal.
Yeah, true. And these early techniques, without heels, probably, right, makes much more sense on these kind of pedal boards. True. So, Janis, what happened then? How you discovered other sides of organ? Because you also build not only early Baroque types of instruments, right? But you also love these late Romantic instruments, Cavaillé perhaps was inspired instruments?
Cavaillé, not so many. I would say that my main source of inspiration is still 19th century organ builder Karl Hermann. He's changing. In his life, he changed from very classical sound to rather late Romantic sound, but still he never built organs with sound which we understand from late German Romantic, like Walker, Sauer, which are rather dark and difficult for polyphonic music and so. But Hermann himself was organist. all his life he was organist also. So he built organs for music. And so for me, the main thing in organ building is sound. Mm-hmm. Beautiful sound which you can enjoy. Mm-hmm. 10 years now, not so much, some 7 or 8 years ago, organ builder from Finland, my good colleague Helmut Grippentrog, he asked me to build an organ for his wife. Mm-hmm. Well, of course, you can imagine that what does it mean for organ builder get an order for another organ builder to build private organ for him.
Yes. Yes. Very difficult.
Yeah, this was practice organ with 2 manuals, 1 stop on each manual, open and geduct, Holz principal and stopped geduct, open diapason and stopped diapason, yes. Let's say, from wood. And he told very simple, please make the organ where you can play hours long without hurting your ears. And at the same time, you never get bored. Mm-hmm. It must be nice, excited, and beautiful sound.
But not too harsh.
But not too harsh. But still that you can play and enjoy the sound all the time.
Did you succeed in building this organ? This type of sound?
That is what we are trying in every our instrument. Mm-hmm. Enjoy the sound. You know, I'm not professionally educated organ builder. When it was possible to start the professional education, for me in some way it was already too late. I was almost 30 years old. I had family, I had children. I was responsible for them and so. So in organ building, I am kind of autodidact. Of course, my 2 teachers, Gunnar Dalmanis in Riga and Rimantas Gučis here in Vilnius, they give me the first understanding of organ building. And what was interesting, they both put the main accent on sound quality, mm-hmm. on music in itself. Not so to say, not so much to speak about clever things which some can do. I cannot. I'm not so clever. I'm not so educated in these things. And the second part of education, it was, which I'm telling, the industrial spying. Mm. I had a possibility to visit some organ building companies in Sweden, in England, and everywhere you can see something very interesting. And of course, this exchange of opinions in ISO, it's very important, it's wonderful. All organ builders are wonderful colleagues, and I am always surprising that how organ builders who on their normal life actually are competitors. Mm-hmm. They're competing with each other, yes, on the projects. But when they come together on the Congress, they are so friendly. And no secrets in organ building. Some people think, oh, what is your secret? There are no secrets in organ building.
Everybody
ask
shares
everything and you get answers, and everybody shares their opinion. And so, yes, this sound, of course, for restoration, when we work in restoration, we do a lot of restoration on pneumatic organs, mm-hmm. Walker, and in Latvia, Emil Martin. We did some reconstructions in Sweden of pneumatic organs. So we have a lot of experience in pneumatic organs, and I never would say that this is something less valuable. Mm-hmm. It is a part of its time. It shows how people were thinking at that time. In restoration, we always respect the original idea of instrument. And I never dare to do something better. And I come to 100 years old organ and say, oh, this is so badly voiced. Yes, sometimes it comes the case, but you can do some corrections, which maybe those mistakes came with time. But first of all, you must understand the idea, what is in this instrument, and that is very important. But when it's up to our own organs, then of course we are free, and I'm not of those who can say that we are building in that and that and that particular style. Yeah, it's Baltic style, of course. It's this sound which is inspired by organ in Ugale, by Karl Alexander Hermann, this open, free, and vocal sound. We are sometimes talking about vocal voicing, and I can explain very easy what it is. When you are singing, everybody has its some diapason, and the lowest notes are rather rich of overtones and soft. Then we have middle range where we are comfortable, and in higher upper notes it's just spitting.
Yeah.
So when we are talking about vocal voicing on the organs, then I follow somehow the same principle. It's not that treble is spitting and bass has no sound at all, but it's different. One of our specialties are small chest organs for continual. Just one stop, Gedacht 8, or 2 stops, 8/4 or 8/4/2. Such a small, we have built rather lot of such a continual organs which are used by musicians in Latvia. In Lithuania, we have 2 of such instruments, and in Sweden, several, and also in Switzerland. And I think that you must be able, just on one stop, on one keyboard, to play polyphonic pieces, to play cantus firmus on one stop, in bass, also in treble. So to voice so that you hear all voices.
Polyphonic
all polyphonic
ideas on one keyboard.
Just on one keyboard, one stop.
So everything has to be hearable, audible.
Yes.
Right, but at the same time different, right? Bass from the treble,
yes.
Bass from the middle.
It's only way how you can make it. And that's the difference between this classical, or you might say baroque voicing, or romantic, which is just a crescendo.
Yes.
And you always, the highest note is the loudest. It's because of homophonic playing of hymns.
True. But your Baroque idea is a little different, right? That you emphasize the intricate dialogues of voices, right? Dialogues and duets, perhaps, of inner voices, inner parts.
Yes.
And they have to be audible when you're playing polyphonically complex pieces. Right?
Yes.
Right. So wonderful, Janis. And of course, not everything is so, how to say, easy to do, right, these things. What is challenging to you in organ building? Challenging.
The main thing is how to get this good sound. When we start an organ project, the first thing is to understand what customer needs, what he wants. For me, it's very important to learn what kind of person is he or she, what he is expecting of an organ. And this is probably one of the biggest challenge, to build an organ which met the needs of customer.
Yeah, that's all, as always.
Yeah, and for me, the best compliment is when customer says, "Oh, this is exactly what I had in my mind. This is what I wanted." If someone says this, then we have reached our goal. Then I think, yes, then we did a good job.
But it's not so easy to guess what the customer wants, right? To feel, basically feel, right, the connection between him and your future instrument.
Yeah.
So how do you come to the idea of making one particular aspect of the organ or another? Would it be like early type of instrument or later romantic? Do you discuss with the customers, of course?
Of course, customers usually say first what for they need the organ. Is it practice organ? Is it continuo for playing continuo with orchestras? Or is it a church organ, hymn organ? Yes. Then of course when we're discussing with customer, you something get from the personality. I always try to listen how the customer plays.
So you, by
That
customer, you always mean the organist of that church, right? Of that building, probably.
Not always. Not always. We have built rather many organs for private persons, which are put in very small houses.
But I mean the particular person who will be using it, right?
Yes, yes. It's very difficult to build organ just and get organ by internet. This is, for me, probably the most difficult thing. Even now we get an order for very simple practice organ for Länsi Helsinki Music School in Finland, in Helsinki. And still I just took a day and I went to Helsinki to see the environment, to meet the director of music school, the organist, the teachers. Because without that, it is rather difficult to make things.
For our listeners who are wondering about how you started organ building, how you started pursuing the secrets of building the organs from the early instruments and the early masters, they are probably also wondering, what if they also discovered the passion for building the organs themselves? Can you say a few tips how to get started, or even where to look for inspiration or advice?
Of course, nowadays there are some schools where you can get education. In Europe, it's in Ludwigsburg. I will not promote these schools, but of course, my way, when I should discover the bicycle from scratch, it's probably not the simplest way. And I think it's good to learn with some either experienced organ builder or in the school basic techniques, basic theoretical knowledge. I did it by books, a lot of things. I even learned German because I knew that all books available for me were in German. So I learned German to be able to read those books theoretically.
Exactly.
Yes, but in someone wants to dare just build organ in house, no problems, I think. Just go to your nearest organ which you like. Find out how it's built, because a small portative, it's so simple. It's nothing complicated, and just to start experiment.
So exactly, this person, young person or any age, right, he has to be rather curious, right? First of all, curiosity is important to see how the instrument is functioning, right? Take apart and make it again, put it together. If it's not historically important, of course, you don't never treat a historical instrument this way.
But it's one very good book I learned also. It's Bormann, Klaus or Hans Bormann, Hausorgelbau.
Yes, there is one.
It's a book where it's very clearly and methodic described how to build a house organ, how to make mechanics, how to build pipes, how to make keyboard in a very simple way. There is even described how to make paper pipes.
Paper pipes. Exactly.
Yes, why not? You can make pipe of everything which can hold the wind.
Excellent.
From glass, from bamboo, from
stone,
plastic, from porcelain.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. Everything what sounds, which can you give the stable form and which you can tune. And that book actually also was very inspiring for me. From that book I learned the first, those simplest techniques, how to do it.
So, Janis, what are you working on right now as we speak?
Should I?
You are probably making some reparation work for the great organ of Vilnius Cathedral, right?
Yes, we are making some maintenance work, cleaning and tuning. So that's why we are here in Vilnius now, actually. Yeah, but it's very nice to come back here for Johannes Church, St. John's Church.
Wonderful. It's this instrument connects so many beautiful memories, because as we say always, this instrument was the place where we met with Janis, with Joran Gran, with Rimantas Gučas and other people from basically from around the world. Yes. In 2000, the year of 2000, in the summer, where about 150 people from around the world came to the Congress of International Society of Organ Builders. Yes. So, Janis, you're so inspiring to the people all over the world. Your work is appreciative, not only in Latvia, but in other countries, in Sweden, in Switzerland, as you say, in other parts also. Can you say, a place where our listeners can connect with you online?
How do you mean online?
Online. Do you have a website or?
Oh yes.
How they can find you?
For the moment, the website which is devoted for organ building is under construction, and it doesn't work. But I think in this year this will be again worked, and address is very simple: pipeorgans.lv.
Excellent. And of course
and another website which we are making piano with pianos restoration work, because I'm working especially on pianos from 19th century, also industrial made but also custom made, and on this piano webpage, which is again very simple, pianoforte.lv.
Excellent. Thank you so much for this conversation, Janis. You're such a great inspiration for the people. And I wish you great luck and success in your future musical adventures.
Thank you.